If you build it, he will come. These are the spooky words Ray Kinsella heard speaking to him while walking around his farmland cornfield. But thankfully, rather than booking in to get a CAT scan, Ray heeds these words as inspiration to turn his cornfield into a baseball diamond. Despite people believing him to be crazy, Ray is sure that his baseball field will be successful, as people would want to see baseball games. Well, lo and behold, the ghost of baseball players from the past start turning up. Released in 1989 and starring Kevin Costner, Field of Dreams is unique in that when it comes to movies, you don't often get a crossing over of the sports genre with fantasy. Well, except for Angels in the Outfield. And Heaven Can Wait. And Teen Wolf. And Space Jam. Okay, scrap that. There are way too many sport fantasy movies with supernatural elements. I didn't even know this was a thing until now. I'd never really thought about it before. Regardless, today we're going to look into one of the most celebrated, the truly warm and wholesome Field of Dreams. Okay, something I've noticed on YouTube is there are so many first time watching reaction videos to Field of Dreams. Like, there are tons! Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Well, Minty, you're a hypocrite. You do 10 Things videos, and how many of them are on YouTube? Well, yeah, that's true. But why Field of Dreams? What is it about that movie that has led to so many watching for the first time reaction videos? Hey, I'm not knocking it. If it works, and there's a hunger for it, use it. If you react to it, they will come. And all these reactionary people have my full blessings to even do a reaction video to this video if they want. We're all YouTube cousins here. I just find it so random that Field of Dreams has so many. So, 10 things, let's check it out. Number 10, based on a book based on a short story. Field of Dreams is the brainchild of Canadian novelist W.P. Kinsella. He would often write books and short stories about baseball. Kinsella was writing an anthology novel of short stories, where he penned the story Shoeless Joe Jackson Comes to Iowa, which was the basic story of Field of Dreams. Kinsella sent the 20-page long short story to his editor, who insisted that this supernatural baseball tale should be a full-length book. So Kinsella expanded his story, where in 1982, Shoeless Joe was published. The inspiration for the story was real-life baseball outfielder Joe Jackson, who the book is named after, as well as being a character in the book, who in the 1919 World Series was caught in a scandal called the Black Sox Scandal, where Jackson and several other players were accused of throwing in the game as payment from gambling parties. The players were acquitted, but still had lifetime bans from playing professional baseball, and Jackson passed away in 1951. The basis of the story came to be because Kinsella was fascinated with the idea of Shoeless Joe Jackson's spirit coming back to redeem himself. The book was successful and won a Books in Canada First Novel Award. Number 9, one studio thought that making a movie about this book would be a box office disaster. Director Phil Alden Robinson was a fan of the Shoeless Joe book and really wanted to adapt it into a movie. He started to work on a script, where he would often contact the book's author, W.P. Kinsella, for advice. Robinson took the idea of making a movie based on Shoeless Joe to producers Lawrence and Charles Gordon, whom had produced many successful movies. Lawrence in particular had great success producing the Die Hard and Predator movies. Lawrence tried to use his employment with 20th Century Fox to his advantage and pitched the movie to the studio. But Fox weren't interested. They felt the movie would only appeal to people who like baseball rather than a wider audience, and thus it'll be a cinematic flop. Lawrence Gordon kept trying with Fox and they just kept telling him no. He ended up leaving Fox and he then pitched the movie to Universal Pictures. And they must have been baseball fans, as they agreed to produce the movie.
Well, it's like that old saying goes, if you don't succeed with 20th Century Fox, try Universal. Yeah, everyone knows that life lesson.
Number 8. A change in title. Director Phil Alden Robinson really liked the title of Shoeless Joe and really wanted to use that as the movie's title. In fact, Field of Dreams was shot under the title of Shoeless Joe. However, the higher-ups felt that the title had to be changed. According to Mental Floss, after a test screening of the movie, audiences were confused with the title Shoeless Joe, thinking that it sounded like a movie about a homeless person. So it was decided to give the movie the more fairy tale title of Field of Dreams. Originally, Robinson disliked the title, but grew to appreciate it when he was talking about the title change to Shoeless Joe's author, W.P. Kinsella, who told Robinson that when he wrote the book, a potential title for the story was The Dream Field. So given that the title wasn't too far off the author's vision, it wasn't that bad. Number 7. If you cast them, they will come. Now, when it came to the story's lead character, the down-on-his-luck Ray Kinsella, who goes against all odds to build a baseball field, the original choice for casting was Tom Hanks, who would have been fresh off his performance in Big. Despite loving the script, Hanks turned the part down, but he would eventually star in another baseball movie, A League of Their Own. The production had thought about Kevin Costner, who was a huge star at the time, thanks to movies like Fandango and The Untouchables, but they didn't think that he would accept the role, as he had just starred in another baseball-themed movie called Bull Durham, but when he was asked, to their delight, he accepted the part. Amy Madigan was cast as Ray's wife Annie, who to me I'll always know as Uncle Buck's girlfriend. James Earl Jones was cast as the reclusive author Terrence Mann. Despite the character being in his 40s, the then 34-year-old Ray Liotta was cast as Shoeless Joe Jackson. And despite starring in the movie, he apparently found the script to be really silly. But, you know, a job's a job, I guess. Movie legend Burt Lancaster was cast as Dr. Moonlight, with Field of Dreams being his last performance in a feature film. And it's also said that a teenage Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are background extras in the movie. They are apparently somewhere in the Go the Distance scene. Now, I've examined that scene and I personally can't see them.
It's a bit like Where's Wally, only where's Matt and Ben? That really should be a puzzle book, actually.
Number 6. Filming. Filming of Field of Dreams took place at Dubuque County, Iowa. It was a 6-day-a-week shoot, as the production had limited time with Costner, as he was scheduled to start filming the movie Revenge. All the on-set footage was shot first, some of which on makeshift sets in farmhouses. This was to give time for the corn in the fields to grow as high as Kevin Costner. The baseball field was built on a nearby farm, but when it came time to shooting, the grass hadn't been given enough time to grow, so sod-growing experts were hired to come in and to try and create the field, to which some tricks were used, like simply painting the turf green. Yep, sometimes when you watch Field of Dreams, that may not be grass on the field, but green paint. And the field is still there to this day and is a celebrated landmark. Number 5. Deleted scenes and concepts. There are actually many scenes that were cut from the final film only to make it on the cutting room floor, probably for timing and pacing purposes. The most famous of these deleted scenes is Ray actually getting his ears tested after hearing the voices. I mean, yeah, as mentioned, you think that would be the first thing Ray does after hearing these voices. Well, originally, he did. There are also some characters from the book that didn't make it into the movie, such as Ray's identical twin brother, Richard, as well as a character called Eddie Sissons, whom owned the farm before Ray, who is said to be the oldest living Chicago Cub, where it turns out he was never even suited up for the team. In the book, Ray kidnaps a real-life author called J.D. Salinger, but the real-life Salinger was less than impressed and threatened a lawsuit. So for the film, the character became the fictional Terrence Mann. In the original book, the diamond field was surrounded by a fence with a door, which cut it off from the cornfield. A tall fence was designed until it was just decided to use the cornfield as the fence, which admittedly gives it a warm and charming look about it. Number 4. Who is the mysterious voice? One of the biggest mysteries associated with Field of Dreams is who exactly provided the ghostly voice that talks to Ray, by namely telling him, if you build it, he will come. It's popular belief that the voice belongs to Ray Liotta, who played Shoeless Joe. But in the movie, we actually see Liotta say, if you build it, he will come, and you can clearly hear that when he says the line, he has a completely different voice to the ghostly voice we hear earlier.
If you build it, he will come.
If you build it, he will come. I don't know, I guess it could be Liotta whispering with added sound effects. Okay, so what about the movie's credits then? Surely the credits will list who the voice belongs to. Well, in the credits, the voice is credited as being played by himself. Well, that doesn't help us. Now, if you ask Google, you're told the voice belongs to Ed Harris, who is the husband of female lead Amy Madigan. But apparently this is also just an unconfirmed rumour. There are even theories that it could be Kevin Costner himself providing the voice. Going back to Mental Floss, director Phil Alden Robinson has claimed that many people have tried to guess who the voice is, but they always get it wrong, adding quote, "We'll let that remain a secret. It's a great mystery." Maybe it's Robinson himself who did the voice.
But seriously though, this might be one of the biggest movie casting mysteries of cinema.
Number 3. The end shot was a group effort among a community. So Field of Dreams ends with Ray playing catch with his younger father, where the camera pans out to show that it's nighttime, with a heap of cars heading to the baseball field, with a line of cars lit up by their headlights. It's a powerful and magical shot full of optimism. In order to accomplish this, director Robinson contacted the Iowa Chamber of Commerce, where with the council's help, a plan was devised, where the city of Diceville would have a planned blackout in order to create the required darkness, and in order to film the lights of the cars, 1,500 locals drove their cars onto the road that leads up to the baseball field. The funny thing is, in that shot they weren't actually moving, but they were switching their high beams from left to right, in order to make it look like they were driving. Yeah, when that scene was being filmed, they were just parked there.
Ah yes, the power of movie magic.
Number 2. The composer wasn't going to score Field of Dreams. Until he did. James Horner was offered to score Field of Dreams, and his knee-jerk reaction was to panic and just say no, as he had so much on his plate, as that year he also scored Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Glory, In Country, and Dad. So, wow. Yeah, he was pretty busy. Interestingly, West Side Story composer Leonard Bernstein was also offered to score Field of Dreams, but he was also too busy. However, after Horner watched a rough cut of Field of Dreams, he was so moved he knew that he had to score the movie. Scheduling conflicts be damned. Field of Dreams would become one of his most celebrated and praised scores. He provides a very powerful and moving score. It really gets you on an emotional level, and it might just be one of his most emotionally rewarding scores. It also earned him an Academy Award nomination, so there's that too. Number 1. If you film it, Academy Awards will come. Field of Dreams was released in May 1989, and it was very successful, bringing in over $84 million on a $15 million budget. It was originally just shown in a few selected cinemas, till its screenings grew and grew, with it becoming a huge hit. Which is amazing for 1989, what with all the competition, like Batman, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Ghostbusters 2, Lethal Weapon 2, and Back to the Future 2. So this movie about small dreams coming true and turning into big realities really did stand tall against giants, aka huge franchise movies. Field of Dreams was also nominated for 3 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. Field of Dreams has gone down as a warm, well-loved classic movie, a kind-spirited one with a positive message that has brought many people joy over the years. After all, Field of Dreams is about never regretting or letting go of your dreams, and to always hold on to them, even if it means coming back later on to make them come true.
So, how can I sum up Field of Dreams? Well, it's nice. Yeah, it's a nice movie. The kind of movie that'll make you want to hug someone and give them a sandwich. And maybe even a little cotton candy. Oh, and play baseball too. Anyway, I'm Minty, and they should have done a Field of Dreams and Dexy's Midnight Runners crossover. They could have called it, If You Build It, He Will Come on Eileen. Okay, that sounded really wrong, I apologise. See ya! I'm funny. Not really.